In 1971, a man boarded a commercial airplane carrying nothing but a briefcase. He ordered a drink. He spoke politely. He never raised his voice. 3 hours later, that same man would open the back of the plane, jump into complete darkness, and disappear with $200,000 in cash. No one saw him land. No one found his body. And more than 50 years later, no one knows who he really was. This is the mystery of D.B. Cooper, the only man in history to hijack a plane and vanish forever. November 24, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving. Airports across the United States were busy, loud, and crowded. At Portland International Airport, one passenger blended in perfectly. He gave his name as Dan Cooper. A one-way ticket to Seattle, paid in cash, no luggage. Flight attendants later described him as calm, well-dressed, and ordinary. He wore a dark suit, a white shirt, and a black tie. Nothing about him seemed suspicious. He boarded Northwest Orient Flight 305, a short flight that was supposed to last less than an hour. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper ordered a bourbon and soda. Then he passed a small note to a flight attendant. At first, she barely glanced at it. She assumed it was a phone number, something that happened often. But Cooper leaned in and quietly said, "Miss, you'd better read that. I have a bomb." The note wasn't a joke. Inside his briefcase were wires, batteries, and red cylinders. Whether it was a real bomb or not didn't matter. Everyone believed him. Unlike most hijackers, Cooper never panicked the passengers. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten anyone directly. He didn't even raise his voice. Instead, he calmly listed his demands: $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, a fuel truck waiting in Seattle, and no police interference. Then he waited. Authorities had a decision to make. Commercial aviation hijackings were rare, and no one wanted this to turn violent. So they agreed. When the plane landed in Seattle, Cooper allowed all passengers to leave unharmed. The money was delivered in a bank bag. The parachutes were handed over. At one point, Cooper even tipped the flight attendant, a detail that would haunt investigators later. Then he gave a final instruction. He wanted the plane back in the air, this time flying south. Cooper requested very specific flight conditions: low altitude, slow speed, landing gear down, rear staircase unlocked. These weren't random requests. They were conditions that made jumping possible. Outside the plane, it was pitch black. A storm had moved in. Rain battered the fuselage. Temperatures were near freezing. Below the aircraft stretched miles of rugged wilderness, dense forests, winding rivers, and mountains. This was not a place anyone should attempt a parachute jump. And yet, somewhere over Washington State, Cooper stood up. He opened the rear staircase. Wind exploded through the cabin. The crew stayed in the cockpit exactly as Cooper instructed. At 8:13 p.m., something changed. The pressure shifted. The staircase snapped upward. And just like that, D.B. Cooper was gone. When the plane finally landed, Cooper was nowhere to be found. The bomb was gone. The parachutes were gone. The money was gone. There was no sign of a struggle. No witnesses saw him jump. He had vanished into the night. For investigators, the question was immediate and terrifying. Had Cooper survived? Or had he just committed the most reckless suicide in aviation history? The FBI launched one of the most extensive investigations it had ever conducted. They searched forests, rivers, and mountains across the Pacific Northwest. Hundreds of suspects were investigated. Thousands of interviews were conducted. Pilots, skydivers, military veterans, anyone who even slightly matched the description was questioned. And yet, year after year, nothing turned up. No body, no parachute, no weapon. The case slowly became something more disturbing, a mystery with no answers. Then, in 1980, nearly 9 years later, something unexpected happened. A young boy was playing near the Columbia River when he discovered something buried in the sand. Bundles of cash. When authorities examined it, they confirmed the serial numbers. It was Cooper's ransom money. But there was a problem. It wasn't all of it. Only some of the cash had surfaced. If Cooper died during the jump, investigators expected to find everything in one place. But they didn't. Which raised a new question. Why would only part of the money be buried there? By every rule of logic, D.B. Cooper should not have survived. The weather was brutal. The terrain below was unforgiving. The parachute he chose wasn't designed for steering or precision landing. And yet, no body was ever found. Search teams found nothing. No remains, no equipment. Then there's Cooper himself. He chose the correct plane. He knew about the rear staircase, a detail few passengers knew. He timed the jump perfectly. The FBI couldn't prove Cooper was trained, but they also couldn't prove he wasn't. Was he a military veteran, a professional skydiver, or just an incredibly lucky man? In 2016, after 45 years of investigation, the FBI officially closed the case. No arrest, no identity, no explanation. D.B. Cooper remained a ghost, a name without a face, a crime without an ending. To this day, D.B. Cooper remains the only person in history to hijack a commercial airplane and disappear completely. No body, no confession, no answers. Somewhere, the truth may still exist, or it may have vanished, just like he did. So let me ask you, do you think D.B. Cooper survived the jump? Tell me what you believe in the comments.